Hi everyone, it's Steph here if you don't already know, and on this channel I just talk about all things careers and all things lifestyle. So in today's video I am going to be giving you 7 tips to help you build your relationships remotely. I know for many of us in the corporate world we are moving towards a hybrid working system whereby we're working a few days at home and a few days in the office. So it's really important, especially for you newcomers, that you learn how to build those relationships remotely. If you like this type of content, please do make sure that you like, comment and subscribe, and do give me a follow on Instagram, as that's where I post the majority of my tips and tricks. So if you know anything about me, you know I'm a stickler for structure. So before I dive into each and every one of these 7 tips for you in detail, I've got a lovely list for you on the side here, so you can take a little screenshot, pause the video and make sure you subscribe as you're at it too. So what are the 7 things that I'm actually going to be talking to you about today in this video? Well, I'm going to teach you how to ask the right questions. I'm going to talk to you about having open communication. I'm going to talk to you about scheduling regular meetings and what is the most efficient way to do that. Sounds simple, I know, but I've got some tips for you, I promise. I'm going to also talk to you about making sure that you create a support system. You can take responsibility, you can show initiative, and finally, you can focus on being the solution. So let's head through each of these things one by one. So the first thing that you need to be able to do to help you build effective relationships remotely is make sure that you're asking those questions. Now, this is something that you should be doing generally, whether you're in the office or not. But when you're not in the office, remember, if you're given a task and you don't understand something in it, it's even more important that you take that initiative to go forward and ask the question. Why? Because whoever gave you that task, whether it's your supervisor or another associate, they can't actually see you. They've sent you the instructions, or maybe they've given you a call, and all things being equal, it sounds like you know what you're doing. But remember, if you're unsure, it's better that you ask so that you can get clarity and then produce the right work product, as opposed to you just going off with something that you're not entirely sure about and now you haven't actually done the right thing. So make sure you're asking questions to clarify what your task is. That is a really great way to show that you're not just there to kind of listen to instructions and just do as you're told, but you're actually thinking about what you're doing and you're making sure that you actually understand it so that you can produce work to the best of your ability. Now, another way that would be really effective for you to ask questions is to actually ask wider questions around the different types of deals that you're doing. What do I mean by this? Well, in debt finance in particular, it's a very process-driven area, especially for trainees. What do I mean by that? I mean, trainees are likely always going to be doing a CP checklist. They're likely always going to be drafting board minutes and shareholder resolutions and all the other typical documents that tend to be involved in every deal that a trainee will be on. However, every single type of deal is slightly different. And even if you have 2 deals which are the same, i.e. both deal A and both deal B are asset financing deals, for example, there may be a commercial nuance in each of those deals, which means that there's something slightly different that has to be drafted. Now, you want to show that you actually have a keen interest in what you're learning and what you're doing, not just you kind of ticking off the task that you need to do for the day and just sending it out to whoever has asked it to you. So what kind of questions can you ask there? Well, if you can see or spot a particular commercial nuance, maybe ask the associate that you're working with when they have a free minute. Oh, I noticed that on X deal, it was like this, and on Y deal, it was like this. Could you maybe explain to me why it was slightly different here, as I wasn't quite sure of what the difference was? That shows that A, you've been paying attention to the tasks that you've actually been given, so you were doing those tasks correctly, which is great. And B, you are genuinely interested in the wider area of that particular law that you are practicing, which is fantastic. So make sure that in order to build effective relationships remotely, you are asking lots and lots of questions. The second thing that is super duper important, especially when you're working remotely, is having open and transparent communication. Now, why do I say this? Of course, it's important to communicate when you're in the office. I'm not disputing that. But when you're in the office and you have a number of different matters on your plate, your supervisor or whoever else you're working with can generally see that you're working quite a lot. They can see what you're struggling with a lot quicker. They can help you out here and there. When you're working remotely, it's a lot harder for everybody, not just your supervisor, but for everybody to see what you are working on and for you to see what everybody else is working on. That means a number of things. It means that there can be times where you may be communicating with someone and they will want a particular piece of work at a certain time, and you can't get that work done at that time because of the other matters that you are on. You need to be able to communicate that openly to whoever you're working with, and that comes into the key skill of being able to prioritize, because at the end of the day, there are only 24 hours in a day and you only have one head. You can't do all the work at the same time. So you need to be able to communicate openly so that you can set expectations realistically, and everybody is going to be happier with you if you are open with your communication, because then they know what to expect from you and they know what you can and you can't do. If you go around telling everybody that you can do everything ASAP and then you end up not being able to do it, that makes you look a lot worse than telling somebody, I'm actually working on this at the moment, so I'll be able to have capacity at around 3 p.m, for example. Am I okay to get it to you for the end of the day? People will generally be a lot happier if you're able to explain things with open communication and transparency in that manner. The third thing you want to make sure you do, and this is really, really big for me, make sure you schedule regular update meetings. Now, for me personally, I like to have weekly meetings with my supervisor. And then with other people that I'm working with, I like to have a meeting with them whenever we finish a particular matter. Now, this is really, really important to do because you will find this once you start working, but it's very easy to fall into the habit of, oh, I'm a bit too busy to have a catch up. But the catch ups are one of the most important parts of your training, because that's where you really get to kind of delve into the trickier questions that you haven't had time to ask on the actual matter, or in the case of the catch ups that I have with my supervisor, that's when I get to ask just general questions that I'm interested in about the law. So it's really, really important to make sure you are scheduling those catch-ups. And a quick tip that I can give you here, if you're using Outlook, then you can probably put up the address of whoever it is that you want to have a catch-up with in your Outlook system. Check their calendar, check when they're free, and propose a time when there's a blank space in their calendar. Why do you do that? It doesn't mean that the person's automatically going to say yes, because for all you know, maybe they've planned something else in that time and it's just not in their calendar. But it's a lot easier for people to look at their calendar at a time when they're free and say, oh, actually I am free at Thursday at 11, for example. So do you know what? We can put in a quick 15-minute catch up then. And people are a lot more receptive when you have kind of taken the time to check what their availability is. So it seems like you are actually, I guess, being mindful of their time as well. So that's my quick tip for you. But please do make sure, whether you're looking at people's calendars to check in these times or not, make sure you are setting and sticking to your regular check-ins. Now, I feel like I've said all of them are important, and they are all important, but this fourth one is actually a very, very important one. And the fourth one is making sure that you create a support system. Now, why is this important in helping you build relationships in the remote working world? No man is an island. We can't do this all by ourselves, and that's okay. Sometimes, especially as a trainee in a commercial law firm, it's going to get hard. There will be matters that you just don't really understand. Sometimes there's just a lot of work that you're doing and you just don't really know what to do. And yes, you have asked for help. You've done all of the above things that you are meant to do, but you still just feel like you're not too sure. This is where you need to be able to tap into your trainee support system. It's really important that you respect and lean on your colleagues when you need to, and you're also there to help them when they need you. At the end of the day, you guys are all going to grow and learn together, and people work better when there's a support system. So take my advice or don't, but I would say make sure you have a really strong trainee support system. Now, the final three are all linked to, I guess, your work product, but you having really good work product is a great way to make sure that you're building the right relationships with the people that you're working with, and also, for example, the clients or just any other external people that you're also working with regards to particular matters. So what's the fifth thing that you can do to help you build a stronger relationship when you are working remotely? Take responsibility. What do I mean by that? With every deal or with every matter, there will be a number of different work streams. So you've heard me rave on about CP checklists, for example. Running the CPs generally, so the condition precedents, is something that a trainee will typically take control over. That will be a trainee's work stream. Make sure you're taking responsibility of it. If you see an email that is perhaps addressed to the associate, but it's to do with the CPs and you know the answer to that, take control of that. Respond to the person, or if you feel like you're really unsure, maybe forward the email to the associate first, telling them what you think the answer is, and then ask if they're fine for you to send that across. That's also okay, but it shows that you are taking responsibility of what it is that you are meant to be managing. It shows that you are good at organizing yourself, you're good at managing your workload, and you are actually understanding the task that you are being set. Now, this links really, really nicely to the sixth thing that you can do to help you build a stronger relationship in the remote working world, and that is showing initiative. I mentioned before with taking responsibility that if you know you're in charge of a particular work stream, make sure you're handling that. Now, if you need to be able to show initiative, if there's something else that maybe you're not in charge of, but you actually think that you do understand the answer or you do know what needs to be done, again, write down what you think the answer is, forward that email to the associate, let them know, I think the answer is XYZ, I'm happy to revert back to the person with this response. Is there anything you'd like to add? that shows that you're not just there again, I guess, ticking boxes and doing what it is that you're being told, but you're actually taking an interest in the area that you're working in, and you actually want to grow and progress. So it's really good to make sure that you can take some initiative where you can. And what is the final thing that I think is really, really important for you to do? Focus on solutions. And why do I say that? Because we've grown up in this age where we're all really fearful of making mistakes. And the funniest thing is, as a trainee, you are definitely going to make a number of mistakes. But what is important when you do make a mistake is that you don't just panic or get overwhelmed, or you don't just sit there and not tell anybody that you made a mistake, but you focus on the solution. Your first port of call should always be to tell the supervisor on the matter, so tell the relevant associate, or if there isn't an associate, tell the relevant partner, but then focus on what the solution might be. That will show that yes, okay, you've made a mistake, but it's okay, we're all human, we all do, it's fine. You've now worked on trying to rectify it, and you don't just seem like, you kind of give up in times of adversity, but you actually take the initiative to try and do the right thing, try and work out what is best to do once you have consulted the senior person in the matter, so that they can also advise you on what you can do to rectify the mistake. So make sure, and I can't stress this enough, make sure you are focused on solutions. Don't just present a problem to the associate and kind of leave it to them, because you've noticed the problem. Why not try and think about something to try and solve it? If you think of the right thing, then great. You've now worked out what the right answer is, and next time you won't make it wrong again. That's fine. If you can't work out what the right answer is, that's fine. At least you've had a go, and you've showed that you've actually tried, and the associate will appreciate that. So make sure that you are big on focusing on solutions. Those are my 7 really quick tips to help you build a better relationship when you're working remotely. I think these tips have worked amazingly for me, and from the feedback I've gotten, they are doing me really well. So hey, like I said, if you don't want to try them, that's fine, but I'm just here to try and help you. Please do make sure that if you like this type of video, you like, comment and subscribe, and do give me a follow on Instagram, and I'll be back again next week with another video.